Let's talk Lima Shocks. Welcome back to Tice Travel Time. Today we're talking about surprises that I really didn't prepare for when committing to volunteering in Lima, Peru for 1 month. Whether you're planning a trip to visit, volunteer, or stay in Lima for a long time, welcome to a wild ride of unpacking some crazy shocks about Lima, Peru. Okay, let's talk about cats. I'm not just talking about a few stray cats here and there. I'm talking about parks that are literally dedicated to cats. I first noticed this at Parque Kennedy, which is literally like a cat park. They have actual cat buildings and beds for the cats to stay in, and there are actually locals that come there and they feed the cats. This was pretty close to where I was staying since I was volunteering at Black Llama Hostel in Miraflores, so I pretty much walked past this park every single day. They're honestly like unofficial mascots of Lima, Peru. I truly didn't prepare to see so many cats here, especially since I was in Huaraz and Cusco before going to Lima, and there were so many wild and stray dogs there. So I kind of just assumed that Peru was filled with dogs everywhere. But when I came to Lima, Peru, especially near Parque Kennedy, I realized that cats were kind of the thing of Lima. Now, that may just be for the area that I was in terms of Miraflores, but I definitely saw some wild cats in other areas, so that was one of the biggest shocks that I did not expect. Now, for my second shock, this is something that should probably be taken more seriously, and this is safety. Lima, Peru is known for having a lot of petty theft, and I knew that before going there, but wow, was I shocked. One of my first few days in Lima, there was a girl talking about how she got her phone stolen, and she was kind of just walking on the street with her phone in her hand, and a motorcycle came up onto the sidewalk and just ripped it out of her hand. And this is pretty common within Lima, not just Miraflores, but all over. I also went to Barranco with my friend, and he was telling me how it's really a safe area, and we went to get lunch and coffee, and when we came back, his motorcycle had been stolen. We ended up spending about 3 hours at the police station trying to figure out all we could to get this figured out, and honestly, they didn't really help. It's been over a month now, and he never got his motorcycle back, so obviously there's a few issues there within the safety in Lima. The key with this is to be smart and to keep your valuables safe. There is always a risk of theft, but honestly, it is really high in Lima, Peru, and I was shocked by how much theft was common in Lima. So this is definitely something to make sure you know and to be careful with bringing valuables with you. All right, here's another shock to you. Lima's traffic rules are wild. Drivers honk constantly, and road rules are more like suggestions versus strict rules to follow. Overall, this kind of aligns with the idea that like police and rules aren't quite as important as maybe they are in your other countries. In the United States, we take rules a little bit more seriously than in Lima, Peru. This was definitely something I was surprised about. Even with some crosswalks or parts where the pedestrians should have a right of way, they honestly don't. The cars kind of do what they want to do. Same with motorcycles, so make sure you are watching out. And cars sometimes will not stop for you, and it is pretty scary if a car gets pretty close to you. Make sure you're looking both ways and you're really cautious of drivers. Don't always expect them to stop when they're supposed to be stopping. If you're dreaming of sunny beach days while in Lima, Peru, don't be fooled. Lima was weirdly cloudy. I stayed in Lima at the end of November to middle of December, and I was shocked. This is summertime. I expected the sun. I expected to go surfing every day and to get tan, and boy, was I wrong. Wow, there are clouds all the time. Every time there was blue sky, I would be like, guys, did you see the sky? Look, it's blue, it's blue. Like, I made such a big deal out of it because I was shocked by how often it was cloudy. It was super crazy and definitely a really big surprise. Now, locals actually have a name for this. They call it the Lima blanket. And this is known as a phenomenon that the clouds are coming from the coast and they are putting on a blanket over Lima. So I didn't know that before going, but that's very interesting because I did not expect Lima to be a cloudy place. While it's not really cold in Lima, I will say that the cloudiness does kind of affect that tropical vibe that I maybe expected, but it is still very much hot. All right, here's another shocker. Lima did not feel like I was really in the Peruvian culture, especially when I was in Miraflores. Miraflores is more of a tourist area, but I was still expecting to feel the Peruvian culture and traditions that I experienced in Huaraz and Cusco, and I just really expected to still feel like I was in Peru. I was a bit surprised because it doesn't quite feel like you're in Peru still. The native Quechua language is definitely less prominent there, and Lima is more of a melting pot. It has all different cultures, so you can get food from pretty much all over the world while you're in Lima, and there's a little bit less of Peruvian culture, like I said, and it's just different. It's a city, so it's gonna feel like a city, and I think that's something to prepare for. If you're expecting vibrant Andean traditions while you're there, prepare to be a little disappointed because it is not the same as the other areas. I also think if it's your first time in Peru and you're expecting to feel like you're in Peru, Lima might not be the best spot to first start out at because it really doesn't have that same Peruvian feel as a lot of the other places in Peru feel. It's gonna feel like a city, so prepare for a city. All right, raise your hand if you rely on Google Maps as your little tour guide for getting to places. So me, for sure, I have always relied on Google Maps to tell me where to go, and I have kind of become quite religiously dependent on Google Maps to tell me where to go. I look at the ratings and I'm like, oh, more than 4.5, I am going there, and I've somewhat committed to that. Now, in Lima, it happened a little too many times where I was like strictly following Google Maps and the place just simply did not exist. And this was very frustrating, and you would think after a while I would catch on, but no. It kept on happening, and it is crazy because there were a lot of incredible restaurants that I came across that weren't even registered on Google Maps. So if you are looking at restaurants and curious about where to go or cafes, make sure you ask locals, or if you're staying at a hotel, ask the person at the front desk about the places or what they recommend, because a lot of places might not exist. So I do think that it's important that you have another resource other than just Google Maps to tell you maybe where to go, where to check out. This is something to be aware of. Be prepared to make sure you're researched and asking locals for help. All right, the last thing is Lima's international vibe. This is a shock that's great, and it's not so great, but overall, it is something to be aware of. You can find anything. Like I said before, there is cuisine from everywhere, and this is incredible. I was surprised by how many expats there are and people from all over the world that have settled in Lima because it is a wonderful place. You have the beach there, you have the city, and you have access to places all around where you can hike and adventure, and you can feel the culture, which I really did enjoy. I was somewhat surprised by how many modern malls there are, or how much it kind of felt like I wasn't that far away from the United States, other than the fact that people were speaking Spanish. But I think that just depends on your personal expectations for going to Lima, and I am not at all hating on Lima. I truly did enjoy my time there. There were just a lot of surprises that I maybe didn't plan for, but I think that also just happens with traveling and being in a new place. There are always going to be surprises no matter where you are going, and it's so exciting to get to learn about everything. Like a park with stray cats. It's kind of cool and exciting. I think that it is important to make sure that you are prepared for your adventure in Lima, or if you live in Lima, it's fun to hear about other people's opinions on it. But I did absolutely love Lima. I think it is a great place. It's a melting pot of so many different cultures, and I really liked Lima overall. The truth of the matter is, Lima is a city that grows on you. With the people and the food and the specific culture it has, all of it is unique to Lima, which I really enjoyed. The energy 100% makes it worth exploring. So if you've been to Lima and you have any shocks or surprises that you want to share, make sure to comment them below and let me know what you were most surprised about with visiting Lima, Peru. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Thank you so much for watching Tice Travel Time.